अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः। अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तम् तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये माम् नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्व
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste. Welcome to one more session on Advaita in daily life. Not weekly life, not monthly life, daily life, even though these classes are monthly. Okay. And we have been on this topic. Somehow this topic was blessed, and we have been on this topic for 9 months. Enough time to deliver the goods of moksha. Okay. enough time to do that sakshatkaranam, to make that the teachings of whatever we have been seeing in the 12th chapter a reality. So that is a very nice thing. And so we are also one more 9 here. We are on the 19th verse of the 12th chapter, and the 12th chapter has 20 verses, so that's a very good sign. And then what my idea for today is to speak to the 19th verse and keep my remarks little shorter than usual, so that if there are questions and it will be nice to have some kind of a discussion, because this is very important. Half of the knowledge, some of the knowledge is gained parasparam avabodhanam, in the sense of somebody raises a doubt which you always wanted to have but never knew you had. And so then it becomes very, very clarifying, and so that way you'll save some time for questions, etc. So verse number 19, and so that is what does it say? Tulya nindastutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketasthiramatihi bhaktiman me priyo naraha. So tulya nindastutir mauni, that's one word describing the jnani. It's just one word describing the jnani, and it's a long description. Tulya nindastutihi, tulya nindastutir mauni. And so this is something we can sit and unpack. So that is one more qualification that we are going to see of the jnani. And as we have seen earlier, and that which as this has been the premise of all our talks, the reason to look into the jnani's life, it's not the same as the TV show lifestyles of the rich and famous. Just because we have nothing to do and we like to look into the lives of celebrities, how many bedrooms their house has and what is the interior decor in each room, etc. That's not so that is itself entertaining, because there is some desire to be like them. Here too, there is a desire to be like the Jnani, actually. There is a great desire to be just like the Jnani. But that desire is not completely inquired into. There is a great desire to be like the Jnani because there is a higher calling in everyone. It's not enough to just, have bread and butter on the table. It's not enough to just go to work and come back and make sure that you have secured enough wealth for your children and their children and their children's children. It's not enough to have 7 generations of wealth. That doesn't give that security. There is a higher calling, there is a yearning to be better than what one is. And that yearning is only, when we look at into that yearning, it is only addressed by some self effort. The desire to be, for instance, more compassionate, less reactive, more accommodative, doesn't come on its own. One has to initiate this growth on one's own. And that is what all these talks about Advaita in monthly life, weekly life, daily life has been about. This is why we are studying this. And so here, a few more attributes of the Jnani are given, not so that we can live vicariously of their life. No. The attributes of the Jnani become stepping stones for the Jnani wannabe. For the one who is studying, etc. This is a point that we have iterated many times. And it's not, and many times, no matter how many times we say this, it is not enough. And so therefore, these qualities are there to see how we can imbibe them in our daily lives, so that that growth which is initiated finds its destination, just like the certainty with which the river meets the ocean despite so many obstacles along the way, including human obstacles damming the river, etc. So, so here in the 19th verse, these are all things which we have already seen. He is summing up. Bhagavan Krishna is summing up, and so the 19th verse talks about some of the things which we have seen, but from a slightly different angle. Let us look at that. So, Tulya Ninda Stutihi. Tulya Ninda Stutihi, one word, the one who is Tulya means Samaha, equal. Equal to what? Ninda, censure. And then Stuti, praise. So the Jnani is the same in the situations of praise and blame, censure, criticism. And this is, of course, this itself is a quality that one can contemplate on for the rest of one's life. How to be Tulya Ninda Stutihi. How to do that? Very interesting. Because most of the people in the world need a whole society to keep them up. That is the reason to have friends. So that somebody will support, so that somebody will say, I believe in you, so that somebody will say, what a nice person you are. Or even if they don't say that, oh, I like what you're wearing, somebody should be able to be to say, to appreciate. And that is the reason to have friends. How many friends is enough? No amount of friends are enough, because you see, for every praise that you get, you have to invest in them and praise them also. Otherwise, free mein kya milega? Nothing will come for free. You also have to keep on scratching their backs and praising them and approving of them. And then once in a while, they will also approve of you. That's why you need a lot of people. Coffee with this one, tea with that one, dinner with that one, movie with this one. So this is why, this is the reason why one has a social life. If you look into the concept of social life, either online or offline, in person, it's all about this basic need for approval. If the self was not approvable, no matter how much approval you get, it's not enough. If the self is already approvable, which the Shastra says it is, then no matter how much approval you get, it is of no use. This is one of the famous Vedantic catch 22s. This is always like that. This is full of Vedanta is full of paradoxes, and this is something which is very nice to dwell into, look into. And so here, this the whole social life, and then what is this called? Facebook and all these things. So it's not enough that people should tell you on your face that they love you and you are okay. They have to go on to your account and like you and like every little thing that comes out of your head onto that update. And then there is not to be outdone, then there is this Twitter, some blue bird is there, and then you have to keep on saying everything is in some few characters they give, this many words you have to talk about your thoughts, this many words, this many things, this many whatever. So these are all the problems that this is all this desire for this social life is due to not being tulya ninda stuti. That is very, very clear. There is a direct connection. You don't even have to look very far for the connection is staring at you in the face. It's right there, or it's staring at you in the Facebook, whichever you, you want to take. It's right there. You don't have to look for it, you don't have to search for it. So, this whole, penchant for this social life comes from this pressure to have people around, comes from this, comes from the basic core issue of self insecurity, because of which one cannot stand oneself, because of which one wants to surround oneself with friends and kin and kith and kin, so that one will somebody at some point will approve of me. This is not the description of the Jnani. And then, if people are, feeling a little disturbed upon reading this, about listening to this and reading this Gita verse and listening to this talk, to all of you, I would say that, this disturbance is a very good thing. It's a little bit of an agitation which presupposes inquiry. And if you're feeling, oh, should I give up all my friends? That's not the point. Give up not the friends. You let them be. They are already there. But give up the reason why you have them. Give up the reason why you are dependent on them. Give up the dysfunctionality and then see where the friendship goes. If the friendship goes, that means it was not very clear to begin with why this such and such a person was in your life, is in your life. Sometimes what happens is that one starts to study the Gita, one starts to study Vedanta, one starts to study all kinds of things, and then what happens is that after a while one grows, and then there is this whole set of people that one had in one's life when one was seeking self approval very strongly, when one wanted a society to uphold oneself, and then one finds that those relationships, those that group of people, that has to be revised. Those relationships have to be looked into. Sometimes they hold one back. They hold one back. And then, out of obligation, one keeps on being held back. This is something to look into. So, this is stuti, the desire to be praised, the desire to be validated. When? Every 3 minutes. Okay. If 3 minutes go by without validation, there is an agitation. So, it looks like one is addicted to validation. And that validation is because of that original insecurity, that because of ajnanam, atma ajnanam, because of self ignorance, etc. It's a whole loop. We have seen that. Everybody knows this. I don't have to keep on, tracing the family tree of avidya, self ignorance. So the root cause is self ignorance. And as the self ignorance is unraveling, as it is in its death throes, these are the ways in which one can help oneself to stay on track, is to drop this addiction. Drop the addiction for approval and validation. Even in the everyday, even in the everyday relationships, even among the family, friends, etc. So when you drop this need for validation, something wonderful happens. Something really, really wonderful happens. In fact, the people who are around you seek you in a different way, seek you as a trustworthy source who doesn't need a lot of things as a source for confiding advice, etc. This is some kind of a way of purifying the relationships. And then you feel freer because you're not constantly hooked to people and social media in order to understand the truth of yourself, in order to make sure that you feel okay. You are already okay. But I really love people and I want to hang out and I want to do this. Well, that's why we have these kinds of groups. Here you meet a lot of people, and right now, since it is still not safe to fully congregate at all times, so we have the thumbnail of everybody's photos peering into the screen, the size of postage stamps. And you can scroll and look, oh, this one is also there, that one is also there, this one is also listening. I don't know these people, but they are all here. There is some sense of community. And what kind of a community it is? It is a blessed community, because it is a community that is also wanting to drop the validation seeking. This is a very safe community. This is a very functional community. This is very nice. Then you feel, okay, I'm not the only one. Here are also people who are striving, who are working towards dropping the need for this tuti all the time. Somebody has to keep me going, somebody has to power my batteries, and somebody has to keep on validating me every 3 minutes. Everybody is wanting to drop that. Everybody is wanting to understand the truth of themselves. This is just fantastic. This is very, very lovely. And so, therefore, this desire to be with the people is redirected towards, satsang, towards study of the Gita together, towards certain things together. And those kinds of friendships that you make are actually very lasting, because you can, instead of bringing one another down, you can uplift one another. This is really very nice, and this is the way to dropping this need for stuti, because everybody can be self conscious. One can feel free to tell one another, oh, here I go again seeking validation. One can be very honest about it. And even within families, if you're studying together Bhagavad Gita, you can say, okay, here I go again. Seeking validation, here I go again, becoming very oversensitive and taking everything personally. Which brings us to the next point. So stuti, in times of stuti, that equanimity is there, and then in times of ninda, what is ninda? Criticism. And so instead of ninda, we can easily say one is a ninja. Small difference, but it's a huge thing. Ninja means, defensive and offensive. Somebody makes a comment about something somewhere, somehow, and then immediately one takes it personally. Who, me? Not me. I didn't do this. I didn't have this. I never did this. I never said this. I never thought this. I didn't want this. Nobody is talking about you. Somebody is expressing their own frustration somewhere. But then everyone jumps into the fray. Not me, not me, not me, not me. Not I, not I, not I. Naham, naham, naham. Naham karta, naham karta. In fact, that is a part of the prayer of, when the child is initiated into the Vedas, the child is, told to repeat certain things. And one of the prayers is, Naham karta. I am not the doer. Kamah karta. Manyuh karta. Manu means anger is the doer. Desire is the doer. I am not the doer. Nahankarta, nahankarayita. I'm not the causing to be doing anything. This is actually a beautiful prayer, so that the child learns to witness and its own emotional, infrastructure, and so that the child learns to witness that and separate itself from that and say, okay, I'm not the doer. This is not me. Anger makes me lose my temper. Anger makes me retaliate. Desire makes me do things that I would have otherwise not even thought of doing. Anger makes me do things. This is a wonderful way. But then if we just selectively take only this nahankarta, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, not me, not me, not me. This is, this is something which is very, very sad. Because the other person may be expressing some frustration about the weather. No, I didn't do this. And the defensiveness is always up front and center. And this is something which is which the Nyani here has learned with us because of Atmajnanam, because of Vedanta study and internalization. The Jnani has learned to drop this. Drop it. How to drop it? Just like that. Drop it. Oh, but they are saying something about me. Should I not defend myself? So Vedanta is going to make me passive. One question will come. That's why let me answer it before it comes. It may still come. Then we'll deal with it. But is Vedanta teaching passivity? No. Vedanta is teaching that you are Shanta Swarupa. You are already, you're not passive. You are free of all conflict. You are that Shanti that you crave. You are a peaceful being. That is what Vedanta teaches. So what to do now? Now the thing, this is difficult to drop. This is more difficult to drop. Ninda. Because as I told you, the reason why somebody is running after stuti is because one cannot stand the ninda. Why cannot one stand ninda? Because one is a ninja. Why is one a ninja? Because one is already suffering from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of self censure. Self ninda is what makes one a ninja. That's what it is. Always one is critiquing oneself. I don't love myself. I don't like this. I don't do this. And then if there is a slight, even a little lesha means a little, even an appearance that somebody is saying something, either sarcastically or suggestively, even if not directly, then one's infrastructure projects this and owns that up, even though one is not really involved. So the whole half of the life is spent in trying to gain validation, and the other half of the life is spent in trying to keep criticism at bay. How hard one has to work for this, what a life. And no wonder people say, I don't have time for Vedanta. Of course, you don't have time for Vedanta. Look at the life. Half of the life, I didn't do this, maine nahi kiya, I didn't do this, I haven't done this, I am not involved in this, not me, not me, not me, not me. New meaning to the Upanishadic word, neti, neti, neti. It is not like this, it is not like this, it is not me, it is not me, not me, not me, not me, not me. What a travesty. Half the life is gone. And the other half of life, give me some praise, keep it coming, let me have some validation. One life gone, another life gone, going, gone. And so this is difficult to drop. This ninda is difficult. This desire to be praised and the desire not to be criticized, even though they may look like the same thing, and they are indeed connected, but we have to see them separately because they are mentioned separately. Because they both come from the same source, but they have different manifestations. Very, very interesting. So therefore what? So therefore this thing has to be, this is a little bit of a housekeeping that has to be done. How to drop the ninda, how to drop this keeping on getting involved in this ninda. Stop being a ninja, simple. The next time you feel like saying, not me, not I, what to do? Go to the next word in this line, Mauni. Shut up. Keep quiet. Yeah, keep quiet. Watch the tsunami in the heart. Watch the self righteousness. Watch the agitation. Watch the feeling of the pain and the rising sense of injustice and anger at being implicated in something that one hasn't done. But the truth is, it is very simple. If you haven't done it, then you haven't done it, you know that. No, but the whole world should know it. Why? By the time you try convincing the whole world, it will be gone. Your life will be gone, really. Because it's impossible to convince the whole world. I mean, try first convincing the significant other, and then you will see how difficult it is to convince one person, let alone the whole world. You can't convince one person because everybody has their own thoughts and feelings and convictions. How many people are you going to clear the name from? How many people are you going to please? How many people are you going to try to, convince that this is you? No need. This is where one, lets go. One strengthens self validation. This is all the part of the housekeeping. One develops self love. That is the antidote to being, to being oversensitive to what people are saying. If one doesn't have a sense of self, even on the relative plane, one becomes a target. Like you may as well be a circle with a circular object with red concentric circles. You may as well be a target for all kinds of critiques and criticisms. This is something to really think about. Amazing it is. And so therefore the ninja stance is dropped by initiating a program of self validation, self love. Lot of things one can do. Take up some hobbies. Gardening is very nice. Gives self love because you see something grow and you are taking care of something that you feel good about yourself. Any other hobby that you have, and also yoga is very good. Asanas, I mean, very good for self love, because suddenly you find that the two body parts you never thought could join have come together, and then now you are a pretzel. How come? Pretzel is some kind of a eatable which has so many knots, and it looks like a padmasana, and so you are happy with that. Yoga gives self love, very very important. Asanas, if you can't do asanas, doesn't matter, some other ways are there, really, to get to this place of relative cheerfulness and a self love that helps one to have a shield, to have a kavacha against all this real or perceived criticism, including self criticism. If self criticism is taken care of, then all other criticism do not matter, they are all taken care of. Very, very nice. And so that is how one proceeds in one's growth. Then the next word is, the person is not only tulya ninda stutihi, but mauni. Mauni doesn't mean the jnani doesn't talk. Maudi means you don't get into, you don't get embroiled into a lot of discussion and explanations, which are the Lego building blocks of samsara. So they start off very innocently like conversations, and before you know it, you are in the middle of a big argument, not of your own making. Here you are late for work or some important meeting, and here you cannot get out, extricate yourself from this conversation. This is something, this is what this is where the practice of mauna. Here mauna doesn't mean complete silence. Vak tapas, very very important. Vak tapas. So the vak tapas here is so important. Vak tapas means the discipline with regard to speech. What to say, when to say, how much to say, what not to say, when not to say. All these become all these become very important self training that one gives oneself, because there is no school of vak tapas. I wish there were. It would make things a lot easier for everyone, for you and for the people around you. It would make things a lot easier, but unfortunately there is no school of vak tapas, and so therefore one has to school oneself by observing jnanis, by observing people that one is inspired by. And this is an important quality, because it connects to all these other things that we have been studying about. Samsara is talk, really. Talk means vyartha talk, useless talk. Useless talk is just samsara. And so therefore this mauna or this vak tapas has to be cultivated. How? I will illustrate it with a story. This is a story from Japan, an ancient Japanese story of a Zen monk who lived on a small hilltop. He had a hut, he had and he had a young girl from the village who used to come up every day. And then there were some other sevaks who used to come, clean his kutia, clean his little hut, clean the surroundings, and bring him food. So this young girl used to do that, serve him very nicely. And then you know, then what happened was that this young girl got pregnant, and everybody said to the monk, "You are the cause of this. You have spoiled this young girl's life. You have done this. You've done all these things." And sometimes the monk would come down from the hilltop to take a walk, and sometimes beg alms from people's houses. And then everybody, instead of giving alms, they used to see him and pelt him with stones, injure him completely. And he did not say anything at all, kept quiet. And then he stopped coming down, and he used to just eat whatever roots, fruits that he could gather. Sometimes he used to go to the next village, but for bhiksha. And then very soon, the stories about his so called deeds spread to the next village. Then the girl gave birth. And then what happened was that the father of the girl and some other villagers came together along with the baby and said, "Shame on you, fie upon you. Take this baby because this is yours. We are not going to let you give up responsibility." And they just threw the baby in his lap and went away. 1 day old baby. And then he raised the baby. Along with the baby, they would do a very incongruous sight of a Zen monk carrying a baby. And they all said, "Live your shame. Let everybody see this. Why should you get away with this? This horrid deed of distrust and or whatever you have done." He said, "Okay." He didn't even say okay. He didn't say anything at all. And then this unsightly picture of this Zen monk in his robes, along with the baby. People started to see. People would openly spit in his face. Very difficult to get bhiksha. Forget for himself even milk for the baby. But somehow there were some kind-hearted women in some other villages. He had to walk far away and get the baby fed. And some women, unable to see the plight, would feed the baby, would give some milk, and somehow then the baby became 6 months old. Then the same people that had come up to the mountain, the father of the girl, and all the village council people who had come and pelted him with stones, they came carrying garlands, peacock feathers, and all kinds of sweets and food. They came laden with all kinds of things. And they said, "We are so sorry, we don't even know how to say." Now the girl is confessed that she is in love with this boy, and actually, this baby belongs to him. It is not your baby. We are very sorry. And then, she was afraid to say because there was some kind of a feud between the two families. So it took her 6 months to develop the courage to talk about this. And so this is not your baby. And they took back the baby. He gave back the baby. And then he blessed them all. And then and then his reputation was so to speak restored. It was never unrestored. In his mind he knew who he was. In his mind he knew what he had done. And as a very touching story, because as a mark of love and respect for that girl who had done seva, he did not out her. He did not out her. Very beautiful. And so, well, this is a very interesting example of maunam. Very, very beautiful example of Maunam, where there is no need at all. There is absolutely no need to defend oneself. And this is connected with Tulya Nindastuti, because most of the time one talks in order to gain validation, in order to appear smart, in order to appear to be making wonderful, points, etc., or to defend oneself from real or perceived some kind of imaginary slights. And so Tulya ninda stutihi. And then what? Mauni. Mauni means the one who is has no need to engage in conversations even when one is attacked. Even when one is relentlessly attacked, one just keeps quiet. And like this, we see so many examples in the lives of Gyanis, and you can try it out. This can be the homework. The next time somebody accuses you, because otherwise it is easy to keep quiet. But in the face of some slight, are you able to let it go? Are you able to say, "Theek hai, let it go"? They are entitled to their perceptions, they are entitled to their thoughts. And even if you say they are not entitled to their thoughts, will they stop thinking that? Hardly. So, therefore, let them, give them the freedom to be critical of you. Give the people, that is, to be even critical of you. That is a sign of inner maturity. Then it says, the verse says, Santushtaha yena kenachit. Yena kenachit means by whatever, by this and that, whatever, and we have to supply whatever one obtains, whatever is there. Yena kenachit santushtaha. And, yena kenachit, whatever is there. Give whatever is there. Let me just eat whatever comes. And of course, this is talking about a endangered species in the form of the jnani, or I'm not talking that the jnani is endangered, but the lifestyle that is being talked about here is very much endangered. You don't find this kind of a jnani. Why? Because that lifestyle is on the wane, going to the Himalayas, carrying one kamandalu, some kind of a water pot, in hand, and then living there, among birds and trees. And then that kind of a jnani lifestyle, not the jnani, but the lifestyle, is undergoing, in my opinion, a transformation. It's undergoing, in fact, a transformation, because the circumstances are changing. First of all, there are no forests to repair to. Where will the jnani go? Higher and higher in the Himalayas, there are five-star hotels. Okay, so then what are you? Where will the poor jnani go to be, away from everything? So this is one of the reasons it's changing. The whole thing, the lifestyle itself is changing. And then, so therefore, there is a transformation. There is some slow but definite transformation. The other reason that there is a transformation is because now this knowledge, unlike in the past, this knowledge was only available to men. And then it was never, oh, even if the women were sitting in the kitchen and, churning the milk and into yogurt and butter, etc. They were sitting and churning the butter and listening to the shastra conversations, that the husband was having along with other jnanis, etc. Even if they understood everything, where could they go? Where could they leave and go? This leaving and going was never an option. The moksha for women has always been, from has arisen from, and has been maintained by, a sense of engagement, a kind of an internal and a conscious and internal disengagement, rather than any kind of a physical, relinquishment of responsibilities. Women's moksha has been through this only. And this was something that was recognized by Pujya Swamiji, my guru. And then, when once I asked him a very interesting question, I had gone to somebody's house with him for bhiksha, and then over the dinner, I suddenly had this question. And then I asked him, I said, you have traveled far and wide, you know everything, you know so many people. Where are the jnanis located most? Where are most of the jnanis there? I would like to know. And then he said, in the house in the form of women. And I know this because they will, the householders, the women, will be serving me. They will be serving me sambar. I look into their eyes meet mine, my eyes meet their. I know, they know, and they know, I know, they know, and then nothing more is said. And the husband, meanwhile, these are exactly his words. He's keeping on jabbering about some verse from the Gita, etc. But actually, she is the one who knows. Amazing, beautiful answer, and just really, really amazing. And so now, with Vedanta being more accessible in the last 100 years, you take Vedanta being more accessible to women, the lifestyle of being a Swami being much more accessible to women, the whole way of living this lifestyle is changing. That's one more reason. And another reason is because the society also is changing. There is more of a there is more of a sense of together but not, together but apart. You are in the world but not off it. So that kind of a, that is like the new way of just being with oneself. And so therefore, to have this lifestyle, santushtaha yena kenachit, living freely and happily with what comes, with whatever comes effortlessly, whether it's one's talents, whether it's any possessions, whether it's people's in one's life, and then this is where the santushti comes, a contentment. Whereas, in the past, one was striving to gain something, retain something. Now, all that is not there. There is a upashamana of that striving, and that is something very, very, very beautiful. And so this is and this santushto yena kenachit was described in the Bhagavad Gita earlier as the jnani was described as yadrichha labha santushtah. Whatever yadrichha means, whatever has been according to the desire of the universe, whatever has come according to one's own karma, this is one is happy. Then the next word is aniketaha. Aniketaha means without a particular roof on the head, without a home in particular. That doesn't mean the jnani should not have a roof over the head. That doesn't mean the jnani should be a homeless person, otherwise, one is not a jnani. That's not the idea. Let there be roof or roofs, it doesn't matter. One is not connected to that dwelling as an extension of one's own self. Whereas for a quintessential or stereotypical samsari, the house is everything. And then what? You go to their house, you praise the house, and the person says thank you. The house doesn't say thank you. The person says thank you, which means there is an identification. And I don't know why this very unfortunate term householder has come. Householder means I hold the house. If I am a householder, I hold the house. And then if I hold the house, if I am the holder, then I should be able to drop it at will. Are you able to drop the house? No, 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 mortgage. No, 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 I have my life here. No, 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 I have to have this. That is all, that is all just that is all just a whole lot of nonsense that has come into the head. But without the house, I'm nothing. Who said you're nothing? Oh, but I want to have my own house. Why you want to have your own house? Own house means what? The bank is owning the house. You're not owning the house. For 30 years, it's with the bank. And you're keeping on paying and you're calling it your own house. It's not your own house. And one such person who kept saying own house, a man in Mumbai invited Swamiji for lunch. Swamiji, I have my own house. Swamiji gave him a, what should I say, a practical Vedanta lesson, 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes after he entered into this man's flat. So, because in that 5 minutes, he kept on saying, own house, own house, own house. I've just bought this house. This is my own house. This is my own living room. This is my own bedroom. This is my own dining room. This is my own bathroom. He kept on saying like this. And Swamiji said, so, what do you own in this flat? Do you own the floor? No, 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 no. Do you own the land? No, no, no. That belongs to the cooperative society. Oh, so maybe you own the floor, square footage of this flat. No, no, no. My floor is the ceiling of the fellow beneath. Okay, ठीक है. So then do you own the ceiling? No, no, no. That is the floor of the fellow above. Do you own these walls? No, these walls belong to the society because they are the outer walls. What about the inner walls? No, no, they also belong to the fellow next door, the neighbor. What is it that you own? Air. I own the space inside the square footage. Can you own space? And so the man who owned the flat became flat himself after engaging with Pujya Swamiji for just 5 minutes. That is how it is. So this whole concept of ownership is very strange. When I first came to America, I thought it was very strange. People could own a beach. How can you own a beach? You can own a mountain. How can you own a mountain? This is all nidhi. This is all the, what's the word for it? This is all the treasure. It all belongs to Mother Earth. These are all resources. This treasure belongs to Goddess Lakshmi. How can you say, how can you have the temerity to say you own the mountain, you own the beaches, you own the, whatever it is? This whole concept of this house as property, and that property is an extension of me. It is an identification. This is the problem, and this is really a big problem. And then this the teaching here is to see that is to see that you have everything. You have everything. You are blessed. Today you have a roof over your head. It's wonderful. Tomorrow also something will come. We trust that. Even birds, they don't think that, okay, what shall I do to make a nest for my children? No. In fact, the nest they make is just for that particular season, then they fly away. And we are left to admire the nest. Oh, we were bird's nest. We put it in the museum, and some kind of a zoological museum, it'll be there. We are attached to the house of the bird. And that's why we should never call bird brain. Its brain is much better than ours. Then next time when it comes back, when it finishes the migration and comes back, it doesn't look from tree to tree, where is my house? And it doesn't peck the building, the zoological museum where the weaver bird's nest has been enshrined. It doesn't say, give back my house, I built it, what right you have? No, it is just the twigs are available, leaves are available, feathers are available in plenty. It builds another one. Very easy. So Aniketah. And then, finally what? Sthiramatihi. Sthiramatihi yasya. Sthiramatihi. So the mati means the buddhi is sthira, means it is unswerving. So, what if somebody is making a lot of money and is Thiramati with reference to the stock market? One can call the person also Thiramati. No. Thiramati, he's here, has got a double entendre. The one whose mind is unswerving, one meaning, and the one whose mind is in that which is unswerving, another meaning. And the only thing that is unchanging, unswerving, is Brahman, is Atma, is you. So the one whose whole focus is on the I, that is totally unswerving. That is basically what is the beauty of this word, Sthiramati. It's a double entendre, both ways we have to take it. The one whose mati is, is in that which is totally sthira, free of ups and downs, free of sorrow and agony and ecstasy, free of moods, free of fear, free of anxiety, all these things. Sthiramati. And then that is the person who is a jnani. This is something to practice. Sthiramati. How to practice Thiramati? Log on to a few more classes. That's all. That is when you will find that honing into that buddhi will keep coming. That's all. Keep logging on, and then Sthiramati will be your first name. And you can change your name to Sthiramati. Very, very nice. And then, then it says Bhaktiman. Bhaktiman means, this Jnana Swarupa Bhakti. Bhaktiman means the one who sees everything as Bhagavan, everything as an extension of oneself, therefore doesn't go about life disturbing anything and has an attitude that is worshipful. Bhaktiman. And then Saha, that person, may Priyaha. No, it doesn't say Saha. Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Naraha, the word means human being, but really its derivation is interesting. Nariyate iti naraha, the one that never gets destroyed. It is Paramatma. It is a nod to Ishvara. The word for human being is Ishvara. Amazing. Even in the language, we have the vision, as we often find. Just so beautiful. So, nariyate iti naraha, the one that is never destroyed. That is Ishvara. The one that is not, the one, even though one thinks oneself to be Nashvara, the one that is actually Ishvara, the one that is not subject to destruction. And such a person, the one who knows this, is Priyaha. Priyaha means dear to me. Dear to me means is myself alone. We have come across this, I have explained this, we have seen this in detail. So I'm not going to talk about this much more. Yeah. So we have about 15 minutes for any questions, any sort of engagement, etc. Because that is also a way of learning. So, if you have any doubts, thoughts, questions that you want to share, you want to talk about, you may please do so either by unmuting yourself or by typing in the chat board. And of course, Praveen is already ready and he has fired off some questions. Tulya Nindastuti related to humility. No, it's not about humility. Humility can be misleading. You know why? Because humility means, oh, I'm a simple, humble being. You can see less of yourself. You can see less than yourself. So it's not about seeing less or more. So that is not, I wouldn't say it has anything to do with humility. Then how is self-love different from selfishness? Will it not, if I love myself, will it not lead me to become narcissistic? It could. If it is not done properly, it could. Yeah, but depends on, here self, what you mean by the self. Here what I mean by the self is that is that which is the body mind sense complex right now here, endowed with an ahankara, etc. And that here we are talking about the self relative meaning. And then for that self, the the what do you do with that self? You are able to approve of it, because the disapproval is so much, you approve of it. You don't approve of it by preening in front of the mirror. That's not the idea. You approve of it by saying, okay, I have done the best I can. And maybe the best is not good enough, but I have done the best I can. And so that self approval is the dropping of self criticism. And we have talked about satsang, we have talked about all these ways. And so that's why it is not going to lead one to become narcissistic. For Grihastha to be Aniketaha means A. Don't be attached to the house. B. Do not bother too much with interior decorations. Well, you know, attached, I don't use the word so much because you are never attached. You are asanga. I don't use the word attach, detach. Only two things can detach. There can be retinal detachment. That's all it is. And then railway compartments can get detached from one another. Other than that, there is no detachment. Because there is no attachment. There is no attachment. You are asanga. So therefore, you live your life as though your house is a hotel room. And then do not bother too much with interior decorations. Means don't live like a slob. Interior decoration matters. How the interior, that is the quality of shaucha, cleanliness. It can be simple, it doesn't have to be something expensive. But you see, colors matter. And if you have jarring colors, then the inside will all be disturbed. So colors matter. How you have arranged the things matter. They have to bring out the best in yourself. So that is why it matters. So interior decoration, you cannot say, oh, I am going to give this up. So that's why interior decorators will always be in business, because even the Jnani wants some kind of a peaceful, whatever atmosphere to live in. Okay. So therefore, it's not that you don't bother, with interior, you don't live like a slob, but you have something that is simple, something that evokes some beauty, etc. That's what it is. Okay. But you don't get overly you don't get overly obsessed with matching something with something, and then lose your peace of mind over it. Nice question. And then in professional life, mauna may be misinterpreted as some kind of incapacity. How to deal with this? Talk. That's all. What else can I say? In those situations, you have to talk. But remember, it's a role. It's a role. You're playing a role of an employee. You're paid to talk sometimes. You're paid to talk. If you're some kind of a professional orator and then you sit and say Mauna, then it'll be, then forget bringing, home the bread every month. Not happening. Okay. So you have to talk. But you understand it's a role, and there is again a separation between the person and the role. Then what else? The Jnani is working as an actor in a movie. Very nice questions we are getting today. Okay, this is a nice thing to imagine. A Jnani as an actor. Okay, playing a role. She can be criticized or praised, but they don't take it personally as they have space from the role and themselves. Perfect. Very good. Your understanding is very, very, very nice. Perfect. ठीक है और क्या is that it? Okay. Next week time is going to change, and even though this class will not meet for some time now, but still I'm saying, the time is changing next week, where for people in America, for people in India it is the same. So I am going to log on at the same time. You please think of whatever the time is for you and log on at that time. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this is what you please do, because yesterday I was trying to figure it out later, earlier. It is later, but it is earlier. Whatever it is, you know what you're doing, and then you log on at whatever time you need to, because this time is not going to change. None of the classes, the timings are going to change. I'm going to come in front of the computer tomorrow the same as I did today, and next week, etc. So you please figure it out. Okay. All right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Very nice to see all of you. Please take care, and good night, good morning,
Thank you,
wherever
Samini.
you are.